Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you come on here live here on this Saturday evening, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. Down below, make sure you give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. And coming up 1 week from right now, next Saturday night, I will be in Greenville, South Carolina for another live television taping for CMW and PWF. Hey there, Kevron. Happy Saturday to you as well. And hello, Marcus. Thank you for checking in. Been a while since I have seen you on here, Marcus. So glad to have you back. But next Saturday night, I'll be in Greenville, South Carolina, as I said, for a live television taping. We will start at 7 o'clock. The doors will open at 6 o'clock. So if you're in the upstate of South Carolina or Northeast Georgia or North Georgia, I'd love to see you 1 week from right now, next Saturday night, March 29th, for CMW and PWF in Greenville, South Carolina. By the way, CMW, in case I have not told you yet, stands for Carolina Main Event Wrestling, and PWF stands for Palmetto Wrestling Federation. So be there next Saturday night. And I mentioned this in yesterday's video, but just in case you didn't see yesterday's video, by the way, I appreciate all the good comments I got in yesterday's video. I love getting comments as I go along here on these live videos, but I'm doing March Madness scores, but I'm a day behind, and I'm doing it on purpose because, you play Thursday, Saturday, and you play Friday, Sunday. And then the next weekend will be the same way. You'll play Thursday and Saturday and Friday and Sunday. And the tournament goes on for so long. It starts just after noon Eastern time on Thursday and Friday and goes until just after midnight Eastern time on Thursday and Friday. So I felt like coming on here on Thursday night and talking about the early Thursday games, and then coming back here on Friday and talking about the late Thursday games and the early Friday games would get too confusing as to who played again when. And I'm not from India Canyon, but thank you for asking. Hey there, Lyric. Glad to have you here. So I skipped Thursday. So yesterday I talked about the Thursday games. Today I'm going to talk about the Friday games, and then tomorrow we'll talk about today's games, and then Monday we'll talk about Sunday's games. And by the time tomorrow night ends and you go to bed tomorrow night, we'll be down to the Sweet 16. To me, the best game of the day today on paper, now it may not be this way once the game starts, but the best game on paper today is the game that, as of right now, is scheduled to start about 9:40 Eastern time, so it's probably going to start about 9:55 Eastern time, but that's the 7 seed UCLA and the 2 seed Tennessee. But yesterday we saw Baylor defeat Mississippi State 75-72. Alabama defeated Robert Morris 90-81. That was actually a close game. With about 7 minutes to go, Robert and Morris actually led by 1 point, but Bama hangs on for a 9-point win. And Canyon Man, I am from the deep, deep South. Thank you for asking. Born here, raised here, been here all my life with the exception of about 6 months of my life I lived in Tennessee, where my dad's family is from. Iowa State defeated Lipscomb 82-55. If you can't tell by my southern accent, I am from the deep South. I can't hide that at all. Duke destroys Mount St. Mary's 93-49. St. Mary's defeated Vanderbilt 59-56. I know that's confusing. There's a Mount St. Mary's and there's a St. Mary's. Mount St. Mary's lost, but St. Mary's won. And can the man take you a trip sometime to the deep south? I don't know exactly how far down the deep south you want to go, but take you a trip sometime down to Florida. That's about as deep south as you can get. Ole Miss defeated North Carolina 71-64. Now, a lot of people have been complaining all week long about North Carolina didn't deserve to be in the tournament. And it kind of goes back to what I always talk about, during college football season, because all year long during college football season, people complain about a team being ranked too high. That team shouldn't be that high. They're ranked too high. They're overrated. But yet, you can't name teams that should be ranked higher than they are. And if you can't logically rank teams any higher than what they are, then that team is not overranked. They're where they should be. I kind of feel that way about North Carolina. North Carolina was terrible. This is the worst team I've seen them have since Matt Doherty was their coach, and he was a joke. We know that. And I'm not sure North Carolina should have made the tournament. They definitely weren't any good. But at the same time, all the teams right under them, they got selected over, weren't good either. So if you take North Carolina out and put in one of the other teams right under them, they didn't deserve to be there either. So if you don't think North Carolina deserved to be there, name me one of the teams right under them that UNC got their selection and logically prove a point that that team should have been there. Because if not, then North Carolina, even though they sucked, they deserve it. I mean, they weren't any good, but since the basketball tournament has 68 teams now, there has to be 68 teams to go. Even if you only have 50 good teams, 68 have to go. And North Carolina was not any good, but I think they were more deserving than all the teams right up under them that were also not any good. It didn't matter which one made it. None of them were going far, but one of them had to get it, and I do think North Carolina was the right selection, even though they were terrible. Maryland defeated Grand Canyon 81-49. Florida defeated Norfolk State 95-69. Kentucky defeated Troy 76-57. New Mexico defeats Marquette 75-66. I talked about Marquette back around, I guess, early February when I was talking about the college basketball AP poll and how Marquette, when the season started, they were top 5, top 10 for the majority of the season. But it seemed like right around the Christmas break, from that point on, they just were not the same team, and it carried over into the March Madness tournament. The team they were in October, November, and December was not the same team they were in January and February. Arizona defeats Akron 93-65. UConn over Oklahoma 67-59. Illinois over Xavier 86-73. Colorado State 78. Memphis 70. Michigan State 87. Bryant 62. And Oregon all over Liberty 81-52. Now, we'll talk more about it tomorrow when I talk about today's games. But earlier today, Arkansas won. They defeated St. John's, so now they're on to the Sweet 16. In that matchup, you had two former Kentucky coaches going head-to-head with John Calipari at Arkansas against Rick Pitino at St. John's. And when I talked about the tournament earlier in the week, I said on here that I didn't think St. John's was going very far. I think St. John's was extremely overrated just because Pitino is their coach. And were they good? Yeah. Were they better than what they'd been the last decade or so? Yeah. But were they a Sweet 16, Elite 18? No, they were not. I didn't think they'd go very deep. They didn't. But wouldn't it be something if John Calipari, who really basically for the better part of a decade underperformed, according to Kentucky fans, because he would always do really good in the regular season and then go to the tournament and get beat first round, second round every year. He finally left. Most Kentucky fans thought he'd become complacent. Whether it was true or not, you never know. But it seemed that way. And a lot of the interviews he did, it sounded like he was happy with what he was doing because he was always making the tournament. And most of his starting five, if not all starting five players, were NBA draft picks every year. So it sounded like he was basically saying, hey, I've got NBA players, and that's what I care about. So it came across, right or not, to the Kentucky fan base that he was saying, hey, as long as I get us here and I've got this talent, I'm not going anywhere. He leaves Kentucky and goes to Arkansas. Now, wouldn't it be something if his first year at Arkansas, he wins the national championship? Now, I don't think he will. I don't think Arkansas is that good. But if I'm John Calipari and that happens, I'm retiring because it doesn't get any better than that. You leave Kentucky, a program that thinks you become complacent, and you go to Arkansas, and your first year there, you win it all. Oh, yeah. I'm going to the house if I'm John Calipari. But I don't think that'll happen, but I did think they were better than St. John's, and they proved it. But as I said, the best game today is going to be tonight at about 9:45 Eastern Time when Tennessee takes on UCLA. That's two coaches that, for the most part, their entire coaching career have always underperformed in the tournament. But this time, somebody has to win. Marcus, I might talk about it. I'm not sure. I know you are asking, but really, truly, I don't talk a lot of women's basketball, and I don't really have a lot of requests to talk women's college basketball or WNBA. And even though you want to talk about it, I don't want to do a video and the only person that watches it is you. And even though women's college basketball is growing in popularity a little bit, it's never going to be as popular as men's basketball. It's just not going to happen. And I don't want to come on here and spend 15, 20 minutes of going through all kind of articles about women's basketball and then get on here and the only person that watches the video is you. Now, if the channel grows to the point to where I can talk about it more, I'd love to. But, I've been asked before on why I don't talk about soccer or why I don't talk about hockey that much or why I don't talk about lacrosse that much. And I'd love to because my Clemson lacrosse team, they've got a legit shot of winning the college lacrosse national championship. But I just don't have a lot of people that I know personally or through social media that actually ask me to talk about soccer or hockey or volleyball or lacrosse or rowing or any of those kind of sports. And I don't want to get on here and then do these videos and nobody watch them, because that can be a Debbie Downer when you spend all this time trying to find different things to talk about as you talk about that certain sport, and then you get on here and nobody watches. It's kind of like a balloon being popped. It's totally deflating to waste all that time talking about it and getting prepared for it, and then nobody watch. It'd be kind of like doing a radio show, and you're on the radio 5 hours, you get done, you find out not one person listened. That would kind of just be totally deflating. But I do think that South Carolina will win the whole thing again in women's college basketball. But let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Why can't you borrow money from leprechauns? Because they are always a little short. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of three. Tell your friends and family how much you love them.